Welcome to the Green Lab Futures Talking Social Innovation podcast with your host, me, Scott Douglas. We'll be bringing you the conversations that we are having with industry, education and the community to help us develop and shape our views and understanding on the future roles of social innovation. We hope you enjoy. So welcome to our one-on-one chat with Domenic Saporito from Outcome.Life. Thanks for joining us today, Domenic.
Pleasure, Scott. Great to be here.
And we're talking about the role that you have within your, and forgive me, co-founder or founder of Outcome.Life?
Co-founder, yep.
Yeah. Perfect. How long has Outcome.Life been running for now?
5, almost 6 years. Started in 2015, where we saw a need in the market that people, students coming out of uni just weren't ready to get a full-time job. And so we wanted to do something about that.
Absolutely. And some of the topics that we've been talking about off camera are the challenges with the future workforce that we see across Australia in regional and metro areas. But we met on a discussion around the employment future opportunities in regional areas for the clients that you work with. That's a major opportunity in the future, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I call it the reverse brain drain. So a lot of our youth typically have gone from regional areas into the city because I thought that's where the employment is. But I think it's done a 360 now, whereas I think people from the city now are realising that perhaps the best opportunities are actually in regional areas. And you complement that, with a lifestyle of, not sitting in traffic for 2 hours every day. It's very appealing.
Absolutely. That was what inspired my reverse move back home.
Don't worry, I'll be following you shortly. I can tell you.
And we're seeing now with the I suppose the work employment model 4.0 having changed so dramatically over the last kind of 18 months. That's also impacting the way that your business is placing students now as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So students now, 18 months ago in March. Given that we had, I think, 400 odd interns out in face-to-face internships, I remember that night thinking, what on earth are we going to do now? But within a week, we were able to convert all those 400 internships into remote internships. And it was fine with the host companies and it was fine with the students. The ones that we had to bring along kicking and screaming were the unis because, they had this paradigm that you can only be supervised face-to-face. But now the norm appears to be that more than half the internships or work placements that we make, that students do to get experience and they get course credit for it, is remote. And you don't need to be in the workplace. And we know now that, probably half the world's jobs are never going to return to face-to-face. So this really does open up the opportunity for businesses in regional Victoria to get some talent that they've never had access to before, because they don't actually need to be in regional Victoria, albeit that the international students in particular that we place, they are all looking to go regional because it's a benefit to them with their immigration.
Absolutely, but hold that. We do want them to come regionally as well. We absolutely want the knowledge and skill sets. I think it was just recently a project that I was a part of. We talked about or explored bioenergy in Gippsland, and it wasn't until kind of 3 months after we'd finished the project that it was like a whole kind of range of South American bioenergy environmental scientists found me on LinkedIn and started connecting with how they could be involved in this work in Gippsland that is, I'll say we're probably about 2 years away from it right now, from it becoming quite a big consideration. But to have these skill sets of people in our community, it's quite an amazing opportunity that we have sitting right there for the next couple of decades, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. And this morning I was speaking to a gentleman who was 16 years at PepsiCo in, might have been Argentina or Chile, one of the two. And he can't get a job here. The only job he can get is in hospitality. Now, you know, I'm pretty sure that we need professional HR people in regional Victoria. And he'd be more than happy to go because, you know, it's probably closer to what he's used to living in his home country. But also, again, it aids with his prospects to get migration to, you know, what is the greatest country on the planet, I believe, at the moment. So he would be more than happy to come out. And we've got all sorts of people. I've got a PhD, this guy who specialises in brewing beer. And, you know, he's one of the people that make sure that every batch is safe and won't kill people if people drink it. And he's got some tremendous experience in that area as a chemical engineer, but in particular brewing beer. And I'm pretty sure they consume a bit of beer out Gippsland way. I'm told, I'm not sure, but hopefully I get to sample a bit next I catch up with you when I come visit you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bandaloo Brewing and Sailor's Grave are my two shout outs.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Absolutely. And I think these are the areas now where we're starting to kind of reimagine what the future of Gippsland looks like and regional Victoria as a whole, because on the call where I met you, we had a person from Bendigo and Ballarat, and the message is so positive coming out of the regional areas, because we are literally screaming for skill sets that we don't have, that these people that are either completing an Australian qualification on top of their already held qualification, which provides such an enriched learning experience and knowledge that can be applied to our regional economy, that we're potentially not fully seeing that opportunity just yet.
Yeah.
Let's hope that changes in the next 12 months so that we can start connecting those people with the opportunities that are local, because there are so many.
Yeah, and they're very varied too in their skills. So you've got plenty of engineers, plenty of IT people, plenty of marketing people, and also, you know, accounting based. But, you know, as an example, there's this lovely young lady that that I've been helping out who in China built their biggest dating app for LGBT individuals. Now, this young lady built an app in a place where being LGBT, it's not illegal, but it's certainly not mainstream. And she, just using TikTok videos, got 5 million users, engaged users on the app. Now, I'm pretty sure that there'd be many, many businesses in Gippsland that would love to have someone with experience of engaging an audience using guerrilla tactics, because you're not allowed to do it openly, and get 5 million users using short 6-second videos. Like, you know, the stuff that people have done overseas, we've never seen here before. And so, you know, this experience that they've got, I'm sure could help many, many businesses in Gippsland and all over Australia.
Oh, absolutely. I think the emerging economies that we're seeing in Australia and regional Australia they aren't new to other countries. They're often concepts that we've borrowed or we've just seen and gone, hey, hang on, let's try and do that over here. And the one that I keep getting stuck on is the bioenergy, because it's a major interest down here in Gippsland at the moment. And every time I look at my LinkedIn account, I've got a new message from a new bioenergy engineer from Colombia, Chile, Argentina, or Brazil, and they're wanting to chat about how they can connect into the work down here. And it's great that we've now got Jack in our own backyard as well, who's down at Bensdale, that we can do a bit of these connecting the dots, and then they can come in through the vehicle that you provide as well, through Outcome.Life, which I think is really, really critical to that experience that the person gets.
Yeah, and just for the viewers, what we do is that we place interns into internships on behalf of universities. So it's what we call a work readiness program or work integrated learning. It has a few different names, but, you know, effectively what it means is that they're going to come and work in your workplace for 12 weeks, normally 3 days a week. Sometimes it's 4. and they're doing it for course credit with their uni course or whatever course they're doing, because it might be out of private colleges or TAFE or something. But effectively, it's a 12-week interview. You get to see them in your workplace for free, cost you nothing, and see what they're about and what value they can add. And then if you would like to employ them at the end, most of them are in their final semester and therefore could accept a full-time job. And the great thing about all these, I call them kids because they're all a little bit younger than me, the great thing about them is that they, because they've studied here in Australia and paid possibly 3 times as much as our kids pay to do the same course, the government gives them a 2-year full work rights visa, which means that they can stay with you for 2 years and work for you. And in that time, they go through the process of perhaps getting their permanent residency, which does not require a company to sponsor, like they do it off their own bat. And, you know, most of them get it. I would say 90% of them get it, as long as they're doing all the right things. Again, no cost to the employer. So you get this person for 12 weeks, and then they can work for you for 2 years, and then they get permanent residency and stay forever. And that's what most of these kids are doing.
Right. So we need to be sharing this message far and wide about the role that OutcomeLife is providing to those grads as well, because that's, I know, being in that system as well, having been lecturing, you're putting information into their heads, and then you're hoping that by the time they gain employment, they're joining the dots and they know how to use that information. It sounds like to me that that's a really good opportunity to get that critical work experience that's needed to bring everything together, and to not be deterred right now in the current state that we're in, because we can do it remotely, and we can have those experiences too.
Yeah. So and whether it's remote or whether it's face to face, you know, the kids are very happy to move to regional areas too. But there's a couple of things it provides too, and that is that for most of these people that come from different countries, you know, working in Colombia is going to be very different to working in Australia. And that way, you know, for employers, they don't have to bear the cost of that learning curve. Because what we do find is that, you know, it's normally 12 weeks or 3 months. For the first few weeks, they're really finding their feet. And then the middle part, they're really doing some good stuff. And then in the last part, they're really adding value. And that's where a company normally decides whether or not they wish to keep them or not. And not everyone gets employed, and that's okay. You're still giving someone an opportunity. So there's that part of it, and learning about Australian workplace culture, which is very different to overseas. But it's also about learning what software do we use here, and what are the systems and processes that are here. And that takes a little bit of time. And we don't, and the great thing about this is that the host company does not have to wear that learning curve. It doesn't cost them anything. So therefore, normally they're happy to, although there is a bit of a cost or opportunity cost, because they have to oversee them and perhaps meet with them if they're doing it remotely for an hour a day on Slack or something. But again, I think it's a really balanced benefit and cost between all parties, you know, and you know, to get a bit of value, provide someone with a great opportunity, and at the end of it, you know, if everyone loves one another, you know, perhaps there's some employment there as well. But you know, there's no obligation on anyone's part.
Absolutely, and that I think that really critical kind of takeaway is that the integration of someone into a new work environment. A lot of, I'll say, a lot of businesses I've been exposed to have really struggled with that experience of assuming that anyone can integrate in, and there might be different workplace biases that mean that certain people can't integrate in, or certain scenarios, or certain environments don't allow it to happen. And when you have somebody gain experience to a workplace and that allows them to understand all of those nuances, it makes that next step so much easier, doesn't it?
Yeah. And really, a lot of the host companies, especially those that are taking someone perhaps from a different country for the first time, it is a bit of a culture shock. And the difference in Australia compared to other countries is that we hire people, we do not hire skill sets. The skill sets are actually really easy to teach. But here, you know, are they going to fit in with our team? Are they going to be able to relate with our customers and our clients? That's the bit that we're not good at. And that may take a business 1 or 2 people to come in order for the business to work out how do they integrate people. And that's okay, because that's a learning curve that the business may have as well. And so hence you can't start till you start. My message to businesses is that give it a go and see, whether it works for you, whether it works for your business. In fact, a lot of businesses use this as a way to upskill their senior people to manage younger people, to create mentoring skills. And we find that most businesses, I would say probably 90%, once they've taken one, they end up taking multiple because they see the value and see the benefit. And probably about 1 in 3 students do get offered a job at the end because of how successful the whole process is. And so encourage anyone to get in touch, and we'd be more than happy to provide them with some people to come out and spend some time with them.
Absolutely. And can we talk about what's on the cards in the future for Outcome.Life? What do you where do you see the work that you guys are doing in the next couple of years coming out of?
Yeah. So obviously still supporting local kids. So we'll be certainly looking at local kids as well. Internationals is extremely important to Victoria. International education is our biggest export. It's a little bit on hold now because no one can get here, but still some kids are doing learning overseas and can't wait to get here once the borders open. But we're also doing quite a bit of work with the Mandela Legacy Foundation out of South Africa, helping what is going to be a bit of a crisis, I think, over the next 10 years, where 25% of the population is going to be in Africa. And a lot of kids are incredibly educated, but they just can't get a job. And the stats are something like 60-odd% of all youth are unemployed, and it's certainly even worse for young women. I think the stats are in the 70%. Even though they've got education, they've got degrees, they just don't have the opportunity. But what COVID has taught us is that you can do things remotely. And with the grandson of Nelson Mandela, his name is Zondwa Mandela, we've been placing our first cohort of students into businesses here in Australia. And we placed the first 5, and already 2 of those businesses says, how can we employ them? These were marketing kids that we placed. And so what are kids really good at? Social media marketing, digital marketing. And so these kids have made an impact within the first few weeks of their business already, so much so that the owners of the business say, how can we keep them on after, the 12-week program's finished? And so we'll be getting a lot more of these kids coming out of there. We're working with Zondwa to do what we call the 1 million internship challenge. We'll be taking 1 million kids out of Africa and placing them into businesses here in Australia and North America. And so we'd love to give the lion's share of the good kids to people here in Australia, here in Victoria, here in Gippsland. We would love to do that. And they're terrific kids, speak beautiful English, and are very tech savvy.
Wow, how's that for social innovation? I love it. And to place 1 million, wow, how can I help?
Yeah, well, we got 10 years to do it, so we need to get cracking. So
absolutely. And on that note, we'll finish up our chat for this afternoon, Domenic. I really do want to thank you for taking the moment to chat to us about the work that you're doing and the role that Outcome.Life will play in the future, placing, or currently and in the future, placing those critical experiences for students.
Yeah, my pleasure. Well, I'll just show our URL out the back there, Outcome.Life. Hit us up and hit me up on LinkedIn as well. It's my preferred method of connecting with people. So yeah, only too happy to help, and all the best. Continue the good work that you're doing, Scott, helping the people out there in Gippsland. I look forward to joining you in the next year or so.
Excellent. We'd love to have you. Thank you very much, Domenic. Cheers.
Thanks, mate. Bye.